We're going to get weird today. It's Labor Day weekend. Usually I prepare these big conceptual ideas. It's not meant to tell you what to think, but kind of leads you in a different direction of helping you figure out what you think. So, and again, guys, thank you for celebrating with me last Sunday, the launch of my new podcast, Spiritual Hot Sauce. Every Thursday, a new episode launches. So if you like the kind of stuff I talk about, you'll like the podcast, Spotify or Apple, either one. So, but this morning I want to play my favorite Bavarian polka songs for you. So I've been practicing on this. So yeah, no, not from you. You know I could do that, did you? I'm just going to noodle. You know, I used to play for a living a long time ago, and I'm not an acoustic player. I'm an electric player. That's always been my thing. So I play like every 3 or 4 months. I get it out to just try to knock some of the rust off, and now there's a lot of rust. But I'm a B player, and I brought my C game, so sorry. Anyway, I love guitar. But you know what I love about the guitar is because if you speak to me, you think because I publicly speak, I have kind of what I do, you would think that I'm an extrovert until you get around me, and then you quickly are aware that I'm an introvert. So I've developed these personas, like we talked about last week, these veneers that help me do what I do. And then I can relate and give ideas. But I have certain ways I communicate. With a guitar, it's a tool that helps me communicate with you on an emotional level that I can't with my words. I can just immediately play something, and to a large group of crowd, I can emotively impact all of us. I can... Do you see what I'm saying? Just immediately, I can connect with you emotionally in ways that my words can't. So I love this guitar. And that's why I love guitars. And I always think back of when I've picked my guitars back when I was a real player, and the musicians that I knew, the guitarists, we all were weird. But when we'd go in to pick out a guitar, we always said they had personalities. So you might find, I've had some very valuable guitars. I had a guitar that, I'm not even going to tell you the dollar amount, but the wood was harvested from some frigid waters up in British Columbia. I had a guitar made out of, the neck was 800-year-old maple, virgin growth timber, and the body was 400-year-old ash. It's illegal to get that stuff now, but it was in the bottom of this lake, and they go and pick out these woods for their tonal qualities, and they put it together. They use a special paint. All the hardware looks like it came out of a jewelry box. It was so gorgeous. And I picked it up, and I was like, it's nice, but it's not my old beat-up guitar that I'm just comfortable with. And I would leave this thousands and thousands of dollar guitar, stand there and go pick up the one I got for, I think, $100, $150, $200 or something when I was younger. And I was like, me and this guitar get along. But a guitar has personality. And it always strikes me funny as how a guitar reacts to the player. And there's something, and I'm going to get real weird with you, but there's something if I play this note and I hit this note, it sounds nice, but when I have to fight the guitar to get that note, do you hear that strain? There's something in there that reminds me of man's fight with adversity and humanity, and it's in those moments where we produce the beautiful things. Music's produced, and typically in time of adversity and suffering. But I think about a guitar and how well it lets me play it, and sometimes I like a little fight from the guitar because it pushes me to get that a little bit of extra something on there. But a guitar that serves me, which is what I need it to do, serves its purpose. You know what I'm saying? If this guitar fights me and wants to do what it wants to do instead of what I want it to do, it don't serve what I want it to do. It doesn't serve me. And what I want it to do is serve you. I want you to get back to that. I want you to have that experience. But if this guitar fights me, you're not going to have that experience. I need this guitar to serve me. Always think of a guitar that's not very useful to me as that's a prideful guitar. That's a self-serving guitar. It's wrapped up in its own ego. And I'm going to get weird, but if you could think of a guitar like we talked about last week in our compass, that we talked about the cardia, the heart of us, which is our true identity. It's how we choose. It's how we choose. It's our essence. It's our will. It's how we decide and how we move forward in life. And we said that north represents our emotions, our needs, our wants, our desires, our fear, our pride, and they want immediate gratification. South represents discipline, how we choose to do hard things when it's not convenient to get to a better situation. Our heart's in the middle, and it chooses of how we navigate that. If the guitar was like that, if the guitar in its heart, it does have heart. Every guitar has an essence. It's weird. It's like a personality. It's not conscious. It's not awake. It's not aware. But because of the combination and the variables of all the pieces and the parts that's put together, this thing feels, and Paul and Andrew, they can tell you about this. This thing feels like something I can connect to, and either I can use it as a tool to express to you or I can't. But if this guitar gets prideful and decides it wants to serve itself, you know what I mean? It does things. So if the guitar says, Chris, they don't even like what I say. They don't like an acoustic guitar. I mean, Chris Berker, he's all about an accordion. He hates acoustics. So we do that. So we get real prideful, and we start thinking of ourselves, and we start serving ourselves. And we start talking and thinking about different things in our life and what we allow into our heart. Some of us, it's just being offended, and we get our feelings hurt, and we become prideful, and we start thinking, yeah, but I'm better than that, and I don't need to be talked to like that. And if they don't appreciate me, I don't need to be here. And I'm not going to deal with that. I don't like their politics. I mean, what they're saying is so wrong. It's so bad. They're wrong. And I'm going to let them know how I feel. I don't like their religion. I don't like how they look. There's something in that that's really bad. And then if I say, calm down, guitar, we have a show to play. The guitar's out of tune. That knocks us out of tune. The guitar doesn't serve me anymore. The guitar is serving itself. And because it's not serving me, it's not serving you. If I keep playing out of tune, you're not going to want to be here. You're going to leave. It's not pleasant to be around an out of tune guitar. It's just a bad experience. Nothing has changed with the guitar. It's the same guitar. It's the same pieces. Everything's the same. The player's the same. What has changed is the guitar's attitude of self-serving. Let me tell you something. This is going to sound strange, but you can't serve your purpose and serve yourself at the same time. You will either serve yourself and die to your purpose, or you'll die to self and serve your purpose. Humility is a part of this. Eliminating pride. It's how we choose. You know, we talked about the person last week and everything she went through in her workplace and what was manifested to her. There's different ways you can choose. Sometimes we have to go through hard things, and we have to not take it personal, and we just have to endure and be patient. You know, we just have to go through those seasons to get to the other side. Sometimes we do need to make a good decision and take ourselves out of it, but we need to do it the right way. We need to choose how to do it without bringing an out-of-tune guitar. You know? So then we got to tune back up. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. You know? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I went too far. Maybe I should forgive. Maybe I should have put batteries in my tuner. Maybe I didn't. Is that better? Now we're back. This is called noodling, by the way. When I first got here, the first time I walked into this place in daylight, I felt like, I was like, man, am I playing? What's going on? I feel like I'm walking into a club. So I remember I played a lot of these when I was young, and the stage and everything, I had no idea I would actually be playing here in a different way. So all these songs are just my own stuff, so we're not infringing on any copyrights. We're good. I'm trying to make sure I keep my time. I'm out of my element right now. I'm speaking. So what is pride? Pride is connected to so many other things. But I think it's selfishness, and it's thinking of yourself and not considering others, putting your own wants above other people's needs, and feeling like that I have to be honored and respected. When I teach a leadership class, I talk about pride versus passion. They look similar, because somebody that's in passion will run really hard to get to the top. But then you find out they're running in passion. They're putting their own self last to make sure that the team gets to the top. Someone's running in pride looks the same at first, a lot of intensity, but they're always going to put their comfort and their self above the needs of the team. I think that's what pride does. It lets us get in a chair we shouldn't be. It allows us into a chair that don't belong to us. It's a judgment. It's a seat of judgment. Because that's what pride does. It elevates myself above everyone else, that I can sit in judgment of you and point out where you're wrong and how you need to fix your situation and what you've done. You do what I'm saying? At some point, we have to trust God that he's got it and just learn to do what we need to do. I think too many of us, we only see as far as we can reach. You know what I mean? We don't see past my own wants and my own needs. We don't see others. H gave a great message here once that I really appreciated. And he said, it's not me, it's we. And he's so right that it is we, it's not me. And sometimes I'm not going to be shown respect. It's not intentional. Sometimes it might be. I'm not always going to be the one that's important. I'm not always going to be the one that needs to be seen. I'm not always going to be the one up here playing guitar and entertaining. Sometimes it's other people. I'm not always going to get my way. The world's not going to do it the way I want to do it. That's okay. That's humility. Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says, let nothing be done in strife or vainglory, but in humility, thinking of others as equal to yourself, making sure they're okay. If someone offends you, then forgive them. If it bothers you that much, go to them and let them know. And I get it. Life happens like we talked about last week. Evil gets manifested. It does. But it's how we choose to deal with it. We can either, as we said last week, become the antidote to the poison, or we can try to combat that poison with poison. And the only way you would combat that poison with poison is why? Pride. Pride. Whew. But a guitar that serves don't produce poison. It produces harmony. It produces love. It produces peace and joy. It produces beautiful things. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? A guitar that's out of tune doesn't make you feel good. Kind of makes everybody irritated at the player. So the player don't want to play that guitar. So it's learning how to choose to do better, like we talked about last week. Let me tell you about this guitar. Me and this guitar, we have a bit of a history. This guitar is a 2005 Taylor 814 CE. So this is a very nice guitar. This is a flagship from Taylor, and I wanted one, and I just wanted to use one because I basically got rid of all my electrics, and I just wanted an acoustic to kind of learn how to play, and every now and when I got the itch, I could get it out and play it. Well, I found this one. It was used in Lexington, and I bought it from the guy, and I found after I got it that he had bought it to be what they call a banjo killer. He's a flat picker. He's a bluegrass guy. And he bought the wrong guitar because this is not that guitar. This is not a flat picker's guitar. So what he did is he put way too big of strings on this. And then he took heavy, hard picks and just started beating it. From 2005 until 2021 when I got it, the guitar was abused for what it's meant to do. And on top of that, you're supposed to keep guitars' humidity, acoustics especially, their humidity right. So in the winter, you got to give them humidity. In the summer, you got to take some humidity out. You got to keep them balanced. Well, he didn't do any of that, and he just beat it. So it's incredible amounts of vibration this guitar was going through. Under great amounts of stress and constriction, it was a very, very difficult thing for this guitar. So when I got it, the electronics was messed up. So I made sure I found a Taylor certified luthier, and I took it to him. And he had it for a while. And he finally got to it. He checked it out. He says, I can't believe it from everything it's went through it. There's no checks or splits in the wood. It's all good. The glue is all held. It's been stressed. I can see it's been stressed. He said, but I think we're good. And I got actually an upgrade from Taylor. in their expression piece that's going to take a 2005 system and make it more current and more modern. He says, other than that, I don't know how the guitar is going to react. I don't know what it's going to do, but it's definitely been through a lot. I'll get it fixed up. So he did. He got it fixed up. And then when I went to pick it up, he said, man, he said, this is a special guitar. I said, how so? He said, well, not that it just weathered everything it went through, and it did well, but it's what happened that's through it. It's got a tone to it that's different because of all of that stuff. He said that, if you could take this guitar back to when it was new and played, it doesn't sound like it does now. And if I'm being honest, this guitar should be in somebody else's hands that plays in front of a lot of people because it is that caliber of guitar. And what it's developed from the abuse it went through, if you heard it now versus when it was new, it's not going to sound the same. There's something about the wood and what it went through and all of that abuse and the shaking and the stress and the strain, it's changed it. But it went through it with patience and endurance. And now, because of that, the qualities and the tonal qualities have opened up. It's a much, much more expressive guitar than it would have ever been any other way. I talked last week about north and south on the compass. North, of course, we just talked about our emotions, south being discipline. I didn't talk about east and west. On the podcast, when we talk about the compass, east represents suffering and things that we can't control, but they have purpose. West represents suffering and things we can't control, and it has no purpose. You just have to try to get through it. A lot of that, whether it has purpose or doesn't have purpose, is this element of faith in what you believe. And I told you I get weird, but if I think of the guitar in those terms, when the guitar was being abused and it wasn't being used what it was meant to be used for, if I think of it as being conscious, what it would have been feeling. If it would have had pride through there, if it had been one of those prideful guitars to fight against you, it would have destroyed this guitar. There would have been, it would have cracked. It wouldn't have made it. It would have been put back together, but it wouldn't be near the guitar it is. But it went through all of that with a lot of endurance. Kara talked about hupomene, which is a word that the Bible talks about as we go through with steadfastness, patience, and endurance, but with hope. It's in this element of hope. So as this guitar was being abused, as it was being neglected, going through this trauma, in my mind, if it was one of us, it would be going through that with a lot of hupomene. All those years of hope. Romans 5:1-5, Paul talks about this. He uses the word thalipsis instead of parosmos, which is used everywhere else. But this word thalipsis means to constrict, to tighten. It's almost like being choked. It's just having all this pressure on you. And that's kind of what the guitar was going through it. And Paul says, with the element of faith, as we go through that, under all of that stress, under all of that constriction, that with hupomene, steadfastness, patience, and endurance, with God, it produces character. And that's kind of what happened to the guitar. It produced a different character. The tonal characteristics are much different. They're much, much more pleasing. They're much more usable now to a musician. And he says that characteristics produces hope. That from that character that's produced through those trials, those tribulations, that suffering, it will produce that character, and it makes us better. And that's what James says in James 1 through verse 2-4, that through these storms and these testings, these trials, that with hupomene, it makes us more mature and stronger and brings us to where we need to be. You can't do that with pride, because you always feel like I shouldn't be here. I'm better than this. Do you not know who I am? This guitar was very expensive. It's made of very, very expensive hand-selected pieces and parts. But regardless of what it's made of, if it's not usable, it's not useful. And through what it went through, it produced a much, much more usable guitar through suffering. And that's what we talk about on East, is that we go through these things. Sometimes we don't understand. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it looks like it doesn't have an end. But if you'll stay in hope and just see it as having purpose, sometimes it's enough to develop that character to get through it. And once you start doing that, you start having hope that more than I can do. There's this term called post-traumatic growth. And it means, and we have one of our members that comes here. He and I had a conversation about that. He has a strong military background, and he's went through some things that you go through for, I guess, PTSD and what you've seen. But he was telling me that the term post-traumatic growth, it was a weird thing, but they studied prisoners of war of Vietnam, soldiers. And they found that the soldiers that were there a shorter amount of time, the damage they psychologically, it was terrible. It was long-term the rest of their lives. But he was telling me the prisoners that was there the longest, that finally just gave up and just went through it with the steadfastness and the patience and endurance, when they came out the other side, he said they were changed. He said, but in a weird way, they were better people. They were more evolved. That's a strange thing to say. And the person that did this studying called it post-traumatic growth. But it's when you finally get to your breaking point and you finally give up and say, okay, I'm done. I can't do it. I just give in. Do what you're going to do. I'm going to do the very best I can. I'm going to go through this with hupomene, patience, steadfastness, endurance, in a godly way, trying to keep myself humble as I go through it with hope, knowing that there's something better on the other side. We can sometimes get to a much better place. And not sound like that. How do we tune our hearts? Have we ever stopped to think about tuning our hearts? We talk about this compass. How do we calibrate the compass? If your compass isn't calibrated, you'll be running the wrong direction. Well, number one, we have to keep pride in check. It's an emotion. We have to use discipline. And that's taking ourselves down a notch. You know what I mean? Again, your purpose, if you're a person of faith, is what? Is to manifest the characteristics of Christ, that persona. The commandment of Christ is John 13, 34, and 35, is to love one another as I've loved you. If we take that into our heart of our center and we compare ourselves to Christ, we will always realize that we have work to do and that we probably shouldn't think so highly of ourselves. Not that we should think bad about ourselves either. It's okay that we have work to do. It's okay that we have opportunity. It's a journey. Enjoy the journey, right? Enjoy the path. Enjoy the process. It's when you choose to put pride into your center, the rudder of your life, of what controls you, that we get off path. Again, your purpose is to manifest love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, kindness, faith. You can never manifest that if you're manifesting the poison that comes from pride. So that's what I mean by you can't serve yourself and your purpose at the same time. One has to go. That's what the Bible means when it says we're old vessels with old wine and we'll get new wine. In order to get the new wine, the old wine has to be poured out. Something has to be eliminated so something new can come in. But it's in this humility is where you find your peace. I think there's a few things that's helped me, and I'm not trying to tell you what you need to do. These are just suggestions of something to think about. For me, and tuning my heart, these are the things that I've practiced that's helped me tremendously. Number one is try to humble myself. And the best way I know to humble myself is to go to God in prayer with gratitude of what I'm thankful for. Here's what I'm thankful for. Even if it's little things, it's all I can come up with. I try to come up with those little things and just, God, thank you for this. God, thank you for this. And I try to say, you know what, Chris? Don't pray and ask for anything. Don't pray and ask for anything to change. Don't pray and ask God to do this. Don't pray at God. Go pray with God. Allow him to tune you. Go be thankful. Be thankful for what you do have. Be thankful for what's good. Be thankful for the day. Be thankful for those moments and those interactions that brought you happiness. Pray often like that. Gratitude has so much to do with this. The other thing is go show gratitude to others. Anybody and everybody. Be thankful. Give to them in thanks to God for your gratitude. Be a giver, a cheerful giver. You know what I've always said, and I've learned, if you're hurting and you're suffering, if you're in a bad place, you know the best way to remedy that? Go help somebody else. You go help somebody else, you just start feeling better. It just takes you to a better place. You know what I mean? Feeling sorry for yourself is the first step in giving up to the problem. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Mourning is a process of how we overcome hard things. Feeling sorry for yourself is a whole different thing. So pray often in thanks, with gratitude, being thankful for what God has, but this isn't it doesn't matter. Be thankful for what God has given you, and then show gratitude to God by giving love to others and helping others when they have need. And this last piece of it, and might sound weird to some of you, but my whole life when I was growing up, I heard, you need to go read the Bible, go read the Bible, go read the Bible. But I don't see any place where it says about reading the Bible in the Bible. It talks about meditating. So what I do is I take a scripture that I need to get. And I'll take this scripture and I'll read this one little scripture over and over and over. And I turn off all of my social media. I turn off my favorite news organization of that Kool-Aid. I turn it all off and I just meditate on that word, on that little scripture. And I'll read it. And then I'll look at the original language. And then I think about all the different ways you can see it. And then I might close my eyes and I just let it permeate me. And I let that get into my heart. So out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I allow that to permeate me. 20 minutes a day of just starting my day with meditating on this one scripture, of having better understanding and praying that God manifests this in me and how I show gratitude to others. And my day changes. I start tuning my heart. I start recalibrating my path. And I don't want to embarrass him. I spoke to Dennis about his dad. His dad has an amazing story of what we were talking about in post-traumatic growth. And I don't want to share too much of it because it's a personal thing. But his dad went through some horrific things that I don't know how you come out of that and be okay. That it would make me hate humanity. That it would make me have so much bitterness and make me, as we talked about, just want to spread evil because of my pain of what was taken from me. But that's not what happened. It was the exact opposite. He found a way to tune his heart and manifest love to humanity and give good things and become the antidote to the poison. I love you. And I don't like to see people hurt. I don't like to see people suffer. And I don't like to see people that never get to the point of serving their purpose in life. Because when you finally get to the point and you get to serve your purpose, that's where you find peace. That's where you find your place of contentment, where you can just, okay, because you got out of the way.